Hey guys, what's going on? A few people have been asking me about LottoX by Raging Bulls, so before we get started onto that, I want to extend an invitation to people that are in Raging Bull's Bullseye Trades service, where you're getting an options trade every Monday morning, every week. So if you're in that and you want to join a Discord that I started for a community of people, it's like the unofficial Bullseye Discord, where it's just a bunch of friends basically talking about the trades. All that you need to do is send me an email, and I'll put my email address in the description below, with a copy of your receipt for Bullseye Trades. Obviously, we only want people in there that own the service already, because we are discussing like in detail all the different parts to the trade and things. So this is just a general invitation for you if you're in Bullseye Trades and you want to be part of my sort of private Discord for this, unofficial, not affiliated with Raging Bull in any way Discord, then just let me know via email, send me a copy of your receipt. You can blank out your name if you want, I'm not that, but fussed. I just want to make sure that you've purchased Bullseye Trades before we let you in. It's really cool. We've been talking about the trade this week. People have already started to make money this week on the contracts, and hopefully the people that are out there that are maybe looking for different ways to trade this, or a bit more emotional support, I know I need emotional support a lot, on Bullseye Trades would find this useful. So again, just give me your email, send me an email with the link. I'll put it in the description below. Anyway, let's get started with LottoX. So you guys that are watching the channel a lot will know that I've started to look at LottoX trades and try and document them in the same way that I've meticulously documented the Bullseye Trades for the last year. And I really started this earlier in the year, but last week was probably the first time that I'd fully properly documented them. And so this is a review that I've started. I'll leave a link in the description to go and check it out. So basically every Thursday around lunchtime, they release a bunch of trades. These are the ones from 2 weeks ago. So this was the ones I did a video on right here. You can see the video here. On it, and the video I'm making right now is going to be on this week's current trade, so this past Thursday. And so this was 2 weeks ago. You can see that it was a really good week, so 600%, 100%, expired worthless, didn't trigger, 260% and 860%. And so there is some problems here, and it's very difficult to get these. These are the maximum that you could have achieved, but there's various different ways of playing them, so it's definitely worth thinking about, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But basically, this kind of gives you an idea of what can happen if things are working well. So this was 2 weeks ago. Let's talk about what happened on Thursday, this Thursday past. It didn't do quite as well, but there was still some decent winners. So I put them into PowerPoint here so we can kind of go through them and then look at the contracts on my brokerage as well. This is an overview, so these are the trades that were issued on Thursday around lunchtime. They're supposed to be held overnight, but you can take profits whenever you like. There's no real set rules. So if you're wanting to day trade them, you can. Often they pop intraday, and often they'll have bigger moves overnight though. But then there's also the downside to that, is they may go worthless overnight as well, so you got to be careful. So the numbers I've put here are if you held overnight. We can talk a little bit about what would happen if you just day traded them, which is generally what I tend to do. I generally don't hold them overnight because I'd prefer to take the profits and run. Anyway, the best performing one was TGT, and so this was the next day, which was January 27th. 167.5 calls, and I cut off what they said here, but you can see from the chart, I'll show you what it was roughly. It was about 0.4 to 2.5 overnight, which is 600%. Google was another one. It went from 0.3 to 2.3, which is 700% overnight. PFE, expired worthless. This one I want to talk about, Microsoft, put question marks, you'll see why in a minute. And then NKE, it went down about 50% depending on how you played this overnight. And so let's go through some of the charts. I plotted them out so I don't have to keep pulling up my brokerage. Some of them I will though, just because it'll be easier. So here's TGT. This was the Thursday around lunchtime. You can see it was pretty flat. You could have probably sold for a little profits if you didn't want to hold overnight. It did go up. These are the contract prices, by the way. You can see on the right here. Sometimes it's hard to see like Thinkorswim's numbers, but this is 0.4 around about here, and then 2.5 up here. So you can see that move would have been huge. If you'd had the guts to hold it that long, obviously, maybe you'd have sold here, maybe you'd have taken profits at the end of the day. Kind of gives you an idea of what this one did. So that was TGT. Google went 7x. So it went from 0.3 around lunchtime on Thursday for the $98 calls, and then it went to hit 2.3 up here. Similar here, probably not really very happy with this, right? Kind of flat, and then again this gap up and then move up into the close. So another interesting one. So those were the two big winners. So let's look at the loss. This was NKE. So this is a 50% loss. You can see not much happened after the alert around lunchtime on Thursday. And then these calls drop down to 0.1, 0.05 kind of area. So if you held the close, you'd have pretty much lost everything, but might be sensible in these cases to have like a 50% stop loss, right? Maybe because, you know, it's not really going to likely recover if you're down 50%, which is why I put the 0.1 here, just because like I don't think many people are going to let this go to expiration when they're down 50%. Probably wise to have a stop loss of 50%. Okay, so let's look at the other ones. So we did TGT, we did Google, those were the two top winners. We did Nike, NKE, which was the 50% loss. And then there's these other ones, so PFE and MSFT, Microsoft. So PFE, expired worthless. You can have a look at that if you want. I'm not going to do that one. Let's look at Microsoft. I think I still have it up on my brokerage. So 250 calls for Microsoft. I think I still have this up. Is this Microsoft? No, this is PFE actually. Okay, well, let's have a quick look at PFE since it's up. So let's see where we're at. So this is 27th, 26th is right here. So this was the PFE trade. See if we can get this refreshed. Back to here. Try and get this thing back to actually showing. There we go. So let's go to zoom in. So PFE, this was the Friday, so 27th. This is the 26th. Let's see if I can drag this properly this time. Nope. Mouse is having issues. Anyway, you can probably see it here. Try and get it. So this is around lunchtime, and then the calls went downhill and expired worthless the next day. So again, if you were obeying the 50% rule for a stop, you wouldn't have lost everything. You would have stopped out pretty quickly. But it's worth showing that. Alright, and then so the final one, which was Microsoft, which is what I wanted to talk about because it was a little bit less clear. So we go to Microsoft. Let me just see what the contracts were for Microsoft. So there were 250 calls. So if we go to the 250 calls for January 27th, hopefully my mouse actually starts working again. Let's go send them to my charts here. Go to here. Alright, so this was, there we go, it's working this time. This was a Thursday around lunchtime when they came out around here. And so you can see they had a fairly significant run from around 0.3 all the way up to 0.79, which is 100% plus, right, by the open. And so if you'd taken profits up here somewhere, you'd have been golden. But if you'd been greedy and let this expire, you'd have expired away down here somewhere. So again, a 50% stop would have saved you. It would have stopped you from losing money more than half, and you could also have gained up to 100%. So this would be an example of an intraday move that you might want to capitalize on. And so where does that really leave us? Well, it leaves us the fact that the LottoX stuff has a lot of potential, but you have to be a fairly confident trader, right? You have to actually be able to manage these trades yourself. Like, let's face it, nobody's going to hit 600% and 700% if that was the maximum. So you've got to come up with your own system to figure out exactly when you're going to take profits and what you're most comfortable with. And what I've found is having a stop loss of about 50% and a profit target of about 100% usually works out pretty well. And you can go through this week's and then last week's that I showed you to see how those would have fared. I've put the contracts so you can go into Thinkorswim and use the on-demand thing to figure out what these would be doing. So yeah, so I'm going to add this last week's into the list here. I've put various other things in here. It's probably worth a read of this. This whole article has a lot of stuff in it that you might find useful. I think it's good to be showcasing not just the winners but also the losers. So in the marketing for Raging Bull, obviously they're going to show their best results. So you can see that this one went $1 to $15. What I'm trying to do here is also show you what happens in the most absolutely raw, realistic sense possible, and that some will expire worthless, and try and give you an overall feel whether this is something that you want to do. But I think Raging Bull says it best in their advertising, so this is their landing page. I can leave a link for you guys to join up here. But they say things like, you've got your 401k and IRA, you've got your index funds, you have a nest egg, but LottoX is different. So it's high risk, high reward, and as long as you know that and you don't go into this thinking that you're going to make 1,000% overnight every week, and you're going to somehow build your wealth that way. This is they call it the junk food, right? This is the possibility to make massive amounts of money, but you can also lose 50 or 100% of the position very, very quickly. So as long as you realize that and you're prepared for that kind of stress or excitement, depending how you frame it, then this is a really fun service. And the cool thing about it is the contracts don't cost much. So you can see from this last week, so the contracts are only around $50 a contract, or $23 per contract. So you can just do one contract or two contracts. You don't have to go in with $10,000 positions or anything. So it's a lot of fun. I think it's good practice to learn how to manage positions as well. And I think for the cost, it's really worth it. I think I have a link in my article here. We can go and have a look, where it's something like $99 for 3 months, which is just a crazy deal. Let me see if I can find it and make sure that it's still available. $99 for 3 months. So there was a webinar. I think it's kind of changed up. Let's see what's actually still available at my referral link here. Let's see what comes up. There we go. So taking its time to load. Let's see. Yeah, so this one. So if you guys are looking to get this, it's only $99 via my affiliate link. So $99 for 3 months, which is just ridiculous. It's a lot of fun. So yeah. Alright guys, hopefully that's helpful, and I'll do an update video probably next weekend, once this week's LottoX is all done and dusted. Alright guys, talk soon.